the promise of the Spirit. Faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are standing in the law of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
In times of darkness, we stumble toward the tiny flame. In times of cold, we seek the warming fire. In times of repression, we reach for the lamp of truth. In times of loss, we pray for the comfortable light. In times of joy, we light a candle of celebration. Spirit of life, as we kindle this light, help us find what we need this day. Each week, we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. We light our second chalice for our partner church in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in religious education and in our world at large. Let us sing our flames into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Good morning.
Better now? Awesome. Okay, very good. Hi, you guys. How are you? Good. So this month, we are talking about listening. So I'm going to ask the grown-ups to help me here. Grown-ups, can you guys make a lot of noise? Okay, what did you guys hear? Loud noise. Okay, now everyone be perfectly quiet. Did you guys hear things? I did. You know? Yeah, did you? What did you hear? A little bit of noise. It wasn't a lot, but if you listen really carefully, like I could even hear like people breathing. Did you notice that? Yeah, okay. So I have a story for you. Let me read it. Once there were two friends. One was from the city, and one was from the country. One day, the two friends were walking down a busy and noisy street of a large city filled with people. The sounds of the city were almost deafening. Suddenly, the country friend said, "I hear a cricket." The city friend said, "What? You must be crazy. You couldn't possibly hear a cricket in the midst of all this noise." "No, I'm sure of it," said the friend from the country. "I heard a cricket." The country friend listened carefully for a moment and then walked across the street to a big cement planter where there were some shrubs. The city friend followed. They looked into the bushes beneath the branches, and sure enough, there was a small cricket. In utter amazement, the city friend said, "That's incredible. You must have superhuman ears." "No," the country friend said. "My ears are no different from yours. It just depends on what you're listening for." The city friend replied, "There is just no way I could ever hear a cricket in the midst of all of this city noise." The country friend replied, "It depends on what is really important to you. Here, let me show you." The country friend reached into their pocket, pulled out a few coins, and dropped them on the sidewalk. Even with all of the noise of the crowded street blaring in their ears, nearly every person within 20 feet noticed the sound of the coins and turned to look to see if the money that hit the pavement was theirs. "See what I mean?" said the country friend. "It just all depends on what's important to you and what you are listening for." What do you guys think of that story? Interesting, huh? So we oftentimes hear what's important to us. And today we're going to be talking about what we hear in nature. So that's going to be fun. And maybe some of us will even go outside outside with me. And I want to tell you guys one other thing. And this is important because, I teach kids a lot. And one thing I want you guys to remember is that it's really hard to listen when you're talking. Did you guys know that? It's true. So before we do the Love Arch, I do want to remind everyone that there is Trunk or Treat on Saturday. And if anyone wants to sign up, I know that Miss Molly would love some help, and there's a sign up on your door. You want to sign up? That's amazing. So please sign up, and with that, we can do the Love Arch. Thank you.
By Hazel Connolly. Humanity's ego to resort to violence, to settle conflicts, makes no sense. And yet we still have not learned the art of peace for which we yearned. To love our neighbor as ourself and put our grievance on the shelf. Could this be in our gracious hands, to bring compassion to troubled lands? With each hill we have to climb, life is lived one day at a time. Let the tears of yesterday's storm bring a smile to a new day born. For everything to be humane, we need to be compassionate and sane. Too lightly on life's scales, compassion weighs and prevails. Great Gratitude by M.D. A grateful mind anchors you in place to always see life from a gracious space. It calls in the energy that lifts you up, keeps you singing, and fills your cup. Make it your foundation as you live your life, so that you always know where to go when you lose sight. Compassion and gratitude is our way.
Good morning. I'm George Pitter, your Lifelines representative this morning. We're here to be liaison between the congregation and the pastor, and also to be here if you just need somebody to talk to. We can be contacted online or by leaving a message at the office, and they'll get back to us. All I have is joys this morning. First, David Haber, longtime member, has celebrated his 80th birthday. Good on you. And for Margaret Gregg, thanks to Steve Rosen and Bonnie for a beautiful memorial service yesterday in honor of our dear friend Robert Galloway. Flowers, food, and stories were shared in loving memories. And from Beth Ann Huffin, hearing stories about Robert Galloway at his celebration of life yesterday, meeting family and friends, and feeling the support of the USS community felt healing. Having the space to gather in and the work of the Women's Alliance was so appreciated. And last but not least, Nancy said, "I voted today." Thank you.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere.
Faith is often used by agnostics as a term of abuse. That is to say, it is taken to refer to the blind credulity which accepts all kinds of dogmas and creeds without question, repeating parrot-like what has been taught and closing its ears to doubt and reason. Such faith should certainly be attacked. It is compounded of laziness, obstinacy, ignorance, and fear. Because it is rigid and unyielding, it can quite easily be shaken and altogether destroyed. But this is not true faith, the faith which is recommended by Patanjali. True faith is provisional, flexible, undogmatic, open to doubt and reason. True faith is not like a picture frame, a permanently limited area of acceptance. It is like a plant which keeps on throwing forth shoots and growing.
I'm a practicing Roman Catholic. I say the Nicene Creed in Mass as close to weekly as I can get there, and I mean every word of it. But I didn't grow up Catholic. What happened? No, I didn't grow up attending church at all, anywhere. My mother, the daughter of Southern Indiana Quakers, and my father, the son of immigrant Scottish Christian Scientists, were married in a Presbyterian church in 1949, but I think that was kind of like by default, because most couples in 1949 in the Midwest were having big church weddings. I know all of their friends were, but regular church attendance was just not part of what they did. As a child, the closest we ever came to attending and joining a church was in Tiburon, California. It was a congregational church that met in the movie theater. That was where my mother was finally baptized, because Quakers don't practice any kind of sacraments like that. But I really don't remember anything about it. We didn't really attend very regularly or for a very length of time. In high school, for reasons that I have really no idea and there's nobody around to ask anymore, we were suddenly launched into the Episcopal Church. I was introduced to prayer, religious structure, youth group shenanigans, the best part, and I began playing the guitar in worship services. But hey, it was San Francisco, the Bay Area, California in the 1960s. But also at about that time, I started having and experiencing these inexplicable, mystical experiences with the most sacred holy. I still to this day don't have language to describe what they're like. However, when I hit college, I was most determined to prove God was a figment created by primitive, ignorant folks to explain natural phenomena. Religion was designed to keep people in the dark and oppressed. Jesus was just some guy for whom I had no explanation, but I quickly learned to avoid the Jesus freaks on campus. I had supreme intellect. My university degrees are in health science. I studied genetics, communicable diseases, with a deep interest in why most communicable diseases rarely afflict 100% of a population, even cholera. It's fascinating. But I loved microbes and nutrition science, but no church then, until about a year after college, came those mystic callings again. I was living here in Salem at the time, teaching at Chemeketa. I found my way to a Lutheran church. I was dating a guy and ended up marrying him who was attending there. And after that, I went through many stages of religious developmental study. We were living in Napa by that time, Napa, California. I liked Martin Luther, an Augustinian friar, and his 95 theses disputing teachings and practices of the Roman Catholic Church in his day, which was like about 1517. The Protestant Reformation is largely attributed to him, and as a Lutheran musician in California, I would ask my Catholic musician friends every fall. So what are you guys singing for Reformation Sunday? Catholics don't celebrate Reformation Sunday. But I thought I was really funny. Upon moving to Salem, however, from Napa, California in 1994, I encountered a judgmental kind of Lutheran Christianity that I found disturbing. I transferred to an Episcopalian church where I worked as a church musician in various capacities for a long time. At the same time, I worked as a cantor in 2 Catholic churches beginning in 2007. I also sang in the Benedictine Abbey Scola, which is a group that sings with brothers of, some of them are seminarians, some are from just around the area, to sing, I lost my place, polyphony music written pre-Renaissance. I love that stuff. It's kind of like every man for himself. You just get the downbeat. And we also got to sing Morton Lauritsen, who's my personal favorite choral composer. So to be clear, some of these music jobs actually overlapped. I was doing them all at the same time. In addition to all those things, I was beginning about 2005 through 2016, I led Taizé meditative services. They're music-led services. We did the Vespers service. I did this with the assistance of an ecumenical group of dedicated musicians who dubbed themselves the Traveling Tasers. We were based at an Episcopal church here in Salem, but we led services in various denominations from Lebanon to Portland, up and down. But this had a very heavy influence on my faith development, my budding understanding of the Taizé community in France, and their founder, Brother Roger. And somewhere in there, besides being a super busy church musician, somewhere in there about 20 years ago, someone gave me a book written by Carolyn Lee Flinders, who was a Berkeley, some of you might know her from Laurel's Kitchen. She was one of those authors. But her book called Enduring Grace, she went into depth about the lives of 7 female saints, women that have been canonized in the Catholic Church. The story about Saint Teresa of Avila, a 16th century mystic, literally leapt off the pages and into my heart. I read her translated book, The Interior Castle, and my spiritual, mystical faith practice was transformed. The mystical aspects of Christian faith just opened up to me in her words. Finally, in 2016, I converted to Catholicism so as to be able to fully participate in the sacred practices during Mass. I fully committed to the faith, the beliefs, and study, and there I found understanding of my mystic experiences with the Most Holy, understanding of my yearning for a more monastic lifestyle, a future talk, and my connection to Saint Teresa, who I believe chose me. She's my patron saint, but I think she chose me. In 2015, not because I didn't have enough to do, right? I also became a formal student of Zen Buddhism, a practice which further deepened my Catholic faith practice. Yes, it's true. They play well together. They can coexist. A Jesuit priest, Zen master, Ruben Abito, I was lucky enough to meet, showed me how, as well as studying about the life of Thomas Merton, a Trappist Catholic priest who was a mystic and keen proponent of interfaith understanding, including Eastern religions and Buddhism. He got to hang out with the Dalai Lama. In 2020, however, life around the world changed. Remember COVID, anybody? Remember lockdown, isolation, and the grudging unwillingness of many fellow members of our Marion County community to mask in public. And the conspiracies swirling around vaccinations being microchipped and all the other kerfuffle. Oh my goodness, you couldn't go anywhere. And while Pope Francis in Rome was saying to Catholics, mask up, get your vaccinations, it's your Christian duty, I found my own local community was full of conspiracy theories and denials and distrust, and I can manage my own self. In addition, the last Catholic church I attended, I was asked to keep my Zen Buddhism under wraps because some people might not like it. Golly, so much ignorance, so much misunderstanding. I was adrift. I had no church home. It was about that time I discovered the UUCS, right here. Vaccinations were required for entry, and masking was required for all. The welcome mat said, "We welcome all spiritual practices." And these people believe in science. I thought, this is great. And I could be part of a community here and be accepted as a Roman Catholic Christian and a Zen Buddhism student at the same time. And they welcomed my musical offerings. Triple bonus there. So one of the first people I met here was a woman who identified herself as a pagan. Imagine this deeply Christian Catholic seated next to and having fun conversing with a pagan. I thought, this is wonderful. She's spiritually alive, differently than myself, but aware of the holy spirituality in all living things. This past summer, I know the title said faith and spirituality, but this is the rabbit hole I got down, sorry. This past summer, I read David Brooks' book, How to Know a Person. Not once, but I actually listened to it 3 times in the car. Yep, and there's a lot in that book for me to learn about how to be a better person and how to better understand other people and how to make it safe for other people to share their stories with me, because I'm looking at a room full of stories out here. His single most resounding point in this book is that each person has a deep desire to be known. But we often don't ask the kinds of questions that invite other people to share themselves freely. Our subjective experiences of the world informs how we believe anything, right? One takeaway from Brooks' book for me, this is important, to think about the questions to ask someone before I open my mouth instead of after. The advice is not to ask, well, what do you do and what do you believe? But instead, what's your story? And what led you to believe as you do? And what does it mean to you? And then listen. Listen openly to the answer. And that's the hard part, at least for me it is. The UUCS is entering into a new season. New pastoral care, hopefully renewed growth in membership. Please come back to choir. And renewed busy life in this congregation. Our families, our communities, our world are so divided right now with so many hot-button words. A practice I'm currently working on, process, incorporating into my habit is to see each person I meet as a creature endowed with an immortal soul. A soul of infinite value and dignity. Brooks writes, "You may find the whole idea of God ridiculous, but if you can believe in the idea of a soul, you can assume the person standing in front of you contains some piece of themselves that has no weight, size, color, or shape, yet gives them infinite value and dignity." It's so hard to really listen to someone's story who we believe, may even know, is coming from a place we find so offensive, or perhaps we've had a painful history with that position. But consider another takeaway from Brooks' book, the idea that conversations happen on 2 levels. This description really rang to me, really true. A great conversation is between two people who think the other is wrong. A bad conversation is between those who think there's something wrong with you. These days, if you want to know a person well, you have to see the person in front of you as a mystery, a distinct and never to be repeated individual. But we must also see this other person as a member of their groups and their social location within their groups. Are they an insider or an outsider? Are they a member of a marginalized group or a mainstream group? Are they part of my tribe, some other tribe that I don't like? And we also have to take into consideration that we are being seen in exactly the same way by other people through their own subjective view of the world. We each perceive the world not as it is, but as it is for us. And there's a saying, when you're surrounded by mysteries, it's best to live life in the form of a question. I think about that a lot. The theme of this month's UU Spiritual Connections is deep listening. The Unitarian Universalist principle of free and religious search for truth and meaning, unified by a shared search for spiritual growth, is what inspired this homily. The UU draws upon the foundations from many spiritual and religious teachings, including Judeo-Christian teachings, and about responding to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. I love this. The mix of atheists, agnostics, deists, theists. However, the UU also warns against the idolatries of mind and spirit by heeding the guidance of reason and the results of science. We also need to remember that science, spirituality, and even the Roman Catholic Church are always evolving. Pope Francis recently spoke with reporters on a flight returning from Singapore. He said a lot of interesting things on that flight, and they surprised many of the people who heard them and kind of scared people who heard about them later. But to children in Singapore in September, he said, all religions are paths to reach God. They are, to make a comparison, like different languages, different dialects to get there. But God is God for everyone. If you start to fight saying, my religion is more important than yours, mine is true and yours isn't, where will this lead us? There's only one God, and each of us has a language to arrive at God. Some are Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, Christians. They are all different ways to God. Interfaith harmony? What a concept. And not what anyone expected to come from the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, please note, I just read you a sound bite, taken a little bit out of context. His intent was not to diminish the Roman Catholic Church in any way, but he was kind of getting at how we humans use divisions of religion to justify our wars and our divisions. And it's an utterly pointless exercise. But he did intend to also affirm there's only one God. That's their position. One of my favorite priests was wont to say, we each have a viewpoint. God has few. The Roman Catholic Church is in conflict today here in this country and around the world. Despite the gatherings in Rome this very month in October, they're all in Rome, for synodality, which means togetherness. It's a key word and concept in his Pope Francis pontificate. But I became Roman Catholic because the faith made sense to me after study, and this faith remains unshaken. But I came here to the UUCS first because I was invited to share my music. I came back because I agreed with the ideas about how to keep vulnerable people safe during a pandemic. Remember those degrees in health science and communicable diseases? I continue to attend, and I enjoy the UUCS because of the welcoming of so many different people into the fold and the commitment to social justice. But like everyone else, I need a community where I can be my authentic self. I remain a Christian in the Roman Catholic bent. My calling from Christ includes reaching out to people who have been hurt by other people in the name of religion. I, too, have experienced deep hurt and exclusion in some of the various churches I've attended. But my deep Christian faith remained solid because somehow I knew that it was other wounded people projecting their own pain out. Buddhist teaching teaches that suffering, we create our own suffering. So that all kind of bundled up in there together. God was not doing this to me, and he was not causing this to be done to me. I shared my faith journey with you today to show that, first of all, not everyone here in this room is an atheist or agnostic. Some, like me, are Christians who are absolutely orthodox Christians. But we struggle to find a church community home in the area. Or maybe, like me, you just enjoy the really fun and interesting people you meet here. That's part of it for me, too. You can be a science nerd, geek, another one in the front row over here, and a devout theist, which would be me. You can even be Roman Catholic. Ask me. I'd love to talk about how my genetic science study and my current NOVA physics addiction has deepened my belief in a creator, God, not squelched it. You can be a student of Buddhism and a Roman Catholic. And you can attend Catholic Mass on Saturdays, Sundays, and sacred holy days, and attend a Unitarian church as well. Going forward, let's find our shared values and beliefs and build on those. Let's try to stop, it's a process, representing any faith group or any political affiliation as all this or all that. And this includes respecting all of the beliefs that get stated here, including the Judeo-Christian beliefs in our words. And in our connections groups and supper groups and chalice circles, let's try asking those questions. What's your story? What led you to believe as you do? And what does it mean to you? And then let's try to really, really listen with open hearts and open minds to the stories that we are then privileged to hear. It's what the Unitarian Universalist movement intended at the core, I think. Thank you. Lorianne's going to provide some music, and let's just have a minute or two of just thinking about our own faith, our own spirituality, and what stories are we looking forward to hearing from our fellow members here?
We can express giving in many forms, such as volunteerism, supporting communities such as UUCS, both in pledges and in time, and supporting organizations in the wider Salem area. Weekly, we support the Marion and Polk Food Share, and for the month of October, Salem for Refugees. Salem for Refugees began as a community-led effort to bring people and resources together to make Salem a welcoming place for refugees. For those of you in person, you may donate food for the Marion Polk Food Share in the Little Red Wagon. Monetary gifts may be placed in the offering bags that will be passed, or by using the QR code on the printed order of service. Or you may wish to go to the website to donate. Thank you for maintaining community of UUCS and for helping the wider community of Salem. Next Sunday, goodbyes are hard. Janet Stevens, Homilist. We think of goodbyes as endings, as sad or painful. What if we practiced awareness that goodbyes are also the start of something new or opportunities? Starting point sessions start today. Roots of Unitarian Universalism, 4-week experiential group. Visitors and members are invited, and there are the dates, and lunch is provided. Always a good thing. News of the community. If you wish to receive our Friday emails and monthly newsletter, to make your request, sign the visitor book in the foyer, or call the church, or email the office. Or you can also scan this lovely QR code to get the calendar of events. Now Marcia will come with the social justice lantern. We take the light from our chalice, lighting the social justice candle as a there you go. As a symbolic reminder of all that we do in our daily lives to help a hurting world. As we extinguish the chalices, let us remember these words by Brian Kiley. The chalice is extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and the souls of each one of us. Let us carry the flame with us and share it with those we know, with those we love, and most especially with those we have yet to meet.
Please rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, 1023, Building Bridges. This is a short round, and we'll sing it through together. I will continue singing it through, and Marcia will join in on the second part, so pick a part. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. All of our friends, such sweet harmony. Harmony.
Please join me in saying our closing words. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Blessed be. You did an amazing job, just like I knew you would. And it really did